Alright, my friends, so we're on to an Archdemon's Dilemmas episode number 2, and I've used this word earlier this week with another anime that came out earlier this week, and I think it stands true for this one too, so I'll use it again. I am very, very attracted to this anime. Whether that is from the cool synopsis or the cool definition of what the episode is going to be, right? This one was called like something in the moldy bread. Next week's episode, let me see what if I can pull it up here. Next week's episode is called... Next week's episode is called The Quieter They Are, the Devastatingly Scarier They Are When They're Mad. And then it has this really cool like jazz tone as well too. The OP is really good. The ED is really good. And then just the premise of it all, right? Like you have this, and I mentioned it last week with last week's episode, but you have this guy who's from the slums and he worked himself up and he built himself up to be this sorcerer. And one of the things that has been omitted from his life is first off love, but then just like day-to-day things like how to care for yourself, how to eat right, stuff like that. And this elf is, she's kind of Neffy is coming in and kind of like she's going to interject some of this stuff. And I really think that's a really cool premise. On top of that, you have the way that sorcerers are viewed and the way sorcerers act in this world too. They basically act as like they're seen as like these evil beings, but they're not seen that way for no reason. They're seen that way because of the actions that they do. They steal, they loot, they work for villains. They work for people who are gonna rob other people. They're willing to take stuff for cash. They're willing to come in and kidnap and experiment and kill. So they have this brand of being evil because for the most part they truly are. And then you have somebody like 𝐒𝐚𝐧𝐽 who has done good deeds without even noticing it. And this episode, I would call it more pay forward than anything else because those good deeds and that good deed that he did in today's episode was paid forward for literal cash, a ride, some food, some dresses, right? It was paid forward to him in kind. It's kind of like whatever you put into the world, you get back out of it kind of thing. And I think this episode was a good amalgamation and accumulation of those good deeds coming back to him, which I think was really, really cool. Even himself, this episode, he was like, what's going on? Is the moon out? Like, what's going on today? And I just think that that is a really cool thing. The rest of the episode, too, is just kind of him, again, living with the elf, living with Neffy, and, starting off by realizing he eats like a peasant, as he always has, and not really realizing that that's not the way he should be eating. So he starts thinking, like, do I gotta go sell stuff? Do I gotta sell my castle? Like, what? So Neffy offers to cook. They go out, and they have a good day. He picks out clothes for her, and they pick out food. They do grocery shopping. They go eat. He tries to find a way to remove her collar. And Neffy's like, why are you trying to do this to me? And he's like, because, no promises, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's really cool. And his good deeds were paid forward in a lot of different ways this episode. And one of the things I've noticed as well, kind of bringing full circle, is Neffy, even though he struggles with just speaking and communicating, he in his head, he's like, I love you so much. And outward, he's like, you like that, right? Just what he says internally versus what comes out externally are drastically different. But I like that we're being shown that Neffy she's starting to put two and two together, and based on his actions, but also based on seeing the inner play of his words, she's starting to see a lot of good in him. And it's really cool. And one of the people that I think the blacksmith or the person that tried to get out the collar this episode, even noticed that the look he had before and the look he had today, even though maybe he didn't notice it, but we noticed that it's directly affected by Neffy being around. And just like his happiness meter is not full, but it's gone up exponentially. And that's affected just the way he exudes himself and the way he interacts with others and everything. So overall, an Archdemon Dilemmas episode 2 was fantastic. I think it's another great episode. And I think if you needed like one more reason to watch this show, episode 2 was that for sure. Fantastic episode. Really, really loved it quite a bit. So I hope that you're falling in love with this show as much as I am. If you're not, cool. Put why in the comments down below. If you're still kind of iffy on it, put that down in the comments too. And if you're loving it like me, put that down in the comments. There's no wrong opinion because it's your own. So let me know in the comments down below how you're feeling with this one. But for me, chef's kiss so far. All right, friends, I'll see you guys for episode 3. Peace out.